So I proceeded to initially to shortcut the process. And so
The reality is, we all started with one sale. One sale of a house, one sale of a car, one sale of an insurance policy, one sale of that proposal to a new client. In this video, Jim's going to tell his very first car sales story and the process of what it looked like to grow to selling multiple cars every month and then to thousands of cars with a team every single month. Stay tuned because I know you're going to enjoy it.
how you can be the greatest salesperson on the planet.
So, Jim, this past week, I've been thinking about this question that I realize I've never asked you. And so I want to ask you, Jim, tell me about the first time you ever sold a car, what that was like, what you learned from it, and then how did that turn into, selling
Yeah.
thousands of cars
Yeah.
a year? How do you go from one to, you know, I'm sure you weren't the only person. It's not like you yourself sold, thousands of cars by yourself. But what was
That's
what was that first experience like? What did you learn? And then how did that go
no,
into
never.
selling multiple, thousands of cars a year? Yeah.
Well, I think I've got to tell a backstory to answer that question. So let me go way back, okay, to I'm 5 years old,
Mhm.
and in first grade they asked us what we wanted to do or be when we grew up, and
Yeah.
my goal at 5 years old in first grade was to be a car salesman. And so, understanding, of course, my dad was my idol, and I would go to the dealership with him and hang out and watch him sell cars. And I always cherished those moments, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old. But anyways, I'm 5 years
Wow.
old. I want to be a car salesman just like my dad. Probably didn't even know what that meant, but that's what I wanted to do. And so went on to,
Yeah.
second grade, third grade, junior high. What do you want to do when you grow up? I want to be a car salesman. High school. What do you want to do when you grow up? I want to be a car salesman. And I actually went to college. And
Mhm.
the primary reason why I went to college is that was just something that my parents demanded. Like, you're going to
Right.
college. And
Yeah.
so, not that I was against going to college, but that was the next step, going to college. And so they would ask you in
Mhm.
college at different levels, like, well, what are you going to do when you're done with college? I'm going to sell cars. And a lot of the people that were involved in the my education, whether it be the teachers or my friends, classmates, when I thought that that was really
Yeah.
silly to sell cars after graduate from college, but that's what I wanted to do. So
Mhm.
fast forward to 1998, I have one more semester to go to finish college, and so that summer I started the idea of selling cars. And so my father trained me himself, one on one, how to do our process. We have a very, very defined, specific process that we follow at the dealership that we really believe in. And so, as the guy that was learning how to sell cars, that's what I had to learn, and I had to know, and I had to be part of that. It wasn't like I was my dad's son, so therefore I didn't have to do what the other guys and girls had to do. I had to do exactly what the process told me to do. So anyway, so I went through 2 weeks of
Yeah.
training and took notes and notes and notes. And I'm a college graduate, and I understand learning and studying and all that. And I studied and learned and practiced, and
You're probably
so
so
now it's my
nervous.
first day out on the
Yeah.
showroom floor. I'm gonna sell cars, right?
Did you
Well, I
freeze?
couldn't
What
do it.
happened? Did
I
you freeze? Like,
absolutely
what?
couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. And so here I am.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
just didn't really understand the whole thing probably as well as I could have, and so I was misstepping. And I wouldn't say
Mhm.
freeze. I was definitely I was very
Yeah.
nervous. Yeah, I was nervous, and of course, once you get
Right.
hit in the head a
Yeah.
couple times, it's like, holy crap, maybe they were all right, So I never forget. I was just getting frustrated. I couldn't get it done. Clients were coming in. I try to do what I was supposed to do, and they just basically didn't like me or didn't like
Yeah.
what I was doing, or
Right.
whatever, and they would leave on me, which is really the kiss of death when you're a salesman, is have a client dismiss you. And so that's what they would do. And so anyway, so I can remember very clearly I was upset to the point of tears. And so I'm
Yeah.
21 years old. I've got
Yeah.
the tears, and my dad pulled me aside, took me upstairs where he trained me, and he gave me a pep talk and said, he called me James. He said, James,
Yeah.
you gotta, hang in there. You gotta dot the i's, cross the t's. You'll figure this out. And so I finally did. And
Mhm.
I sincerely, we're talking 1978. So this is what, 40, 45 years ago,
Yeah.
right? I don't remember exactly who the first person was I sold a car to. I really don't. But I know that my first month in the business, I sold 4 cars. That I do know, and it was actually not a full month; it was a half a month. So that was a pretty decent job once I started to figure it out. And then the second month, I did very well, and the third month, I did very well. And then I ended up, I went back to college, of course, but I did figure it out, and
Yeah.
I was very
That's
successful
just
at
gonna say,
selling
like, what
cars
did you
as long
learn from
as I
that
stuck with the
process? Was there
program.
something that kinda
So
stuck with
what
you?
happened
It's
was I
like,
came
"Wow, I
back
really
from
learned." Mhm, mhm,
Well, it's the whole process. There's no shortcutting the process, right? So,
mhm.
fast forward to 1979. Now I'm graduating from college, and of
Right.
course, as a college graduate, I knew more than anybody else. I was the smartest guy in the room, and so I proceeded to initially to shortcut the process. And so here I am. I mean, I
Mhm.
think my best month that summer was, I think, 18 cars, something like that, which was pretty well thought of at that time. Still is today.
Yeah.
If you sell 18 cars today, you're doing a great job, especially early on in the business. So that first full month
Mhm.
back, I sold 6. Never forget it, because I wasn't following the process. So the lesson I had to learn was to follow the process, no matter what that process is. You know, I have this mentality about me that I've learned. So the biggest lesson I've learned from way back when and then going forward
Mhm.
is that once we seek expert counsel. My dad was at expert counsel. Once we seek expert counsel, my dad's experience with the process was at expert counsel, and then all the people around me, and it just kept coming up and coming up and coming up, was this idea called a process. And so that was the lesson I learned, was that it's very, very essential to have that at least a B plan, and then preferably B plus. And then if you can get it to A minus or A plus plan, then that's all the better. But that's not the point. The point is not
Right.
so much the plan, it's the execution of the plan. So as long as we have a B plan, B plus plan, and we execute that plan at 100% or pretty darn close, well, then that's where the success comes from. And so, just to give you an idea about this, and I may have already mentioned this. If I did, I
Mhm.
apologize to the listeners, but I'm very, very concerned about health today. At 65 years old, I have some health issues as a result of my stupidity. When I was in the automobile business, I didn't do things the right way, and I'll just briefly cover that. I've covered it before. Sleep deprived, stressed, very high stress job with no stress mitigation effort, terrible diet, not enough physical movement throughout the day. My tribe was intact. My doing novel things was intact, but those first four, I blew it. And I ended up with health consequences from that. And I would encourage
Mhm.
all you people out there, especially young people. We think we're invincible. Well, we're not. It just takes a toll.